All right. We're about to go live. All right, all righty. Well, folks, it is a special day today for the CryptoFace community. Typically, it's my bedtime, but today I had to bend my bedtime because I was able to finally get a hold of somebody um, who I've nicknamed the God. Some of you might know who I'm referring to, but we're gonna introduce him in a second here. But it's emergency times, it's crazy times, obviously today, and I wanted to bring somebody on that I feel has a good overview of macro and more than just crypto and everything in between. So I guess I won't hold back anymore, folks. A surprise guest today is Gareth the God Solloway.
Hey, how's it going? And thank you. And that you're far too kind. Far too kind.
Man, thank you. For those of you who don't know, Gareth, do you go by Gary, man, or
Just Gareth or G. You can call me G, whatever you want.
All right. Okay, that's easy. G. All right. Um, Gareth, your website's inthemoneystocks.com, which immediately, like when I first saw you on Kick Code News, I kind of liked it because I think of we're in the money. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're an old school cat. I can tell today must be an important day because you got your hair done, you got the gel in and everything.
Whew. Yeah, it's wild out there today. I mean, whether you're in crypto, whether you're in stocks, whether you're in anything right now, it is wild action out there. And we got to kind of think. And this is these type of market conditions offer such great opportunities if you are able to control your emotions. And that goes for crypto and stocks. And again, we saw crypto overnight flush down. I actually had put out some limit orders to buy some of the cryptos in the overnight, some Solana, some Polkadot, some different things like that. And some of them hit on the flush and right now doing relatively well on those. So, again, I love the idea of buying fear. There's an old adage saying when there's blood in the streets, that's when you gotta buy, meaning blood in Wall Street.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that term with what's going on in Russia, with Russia invading Ukraine, probably has a different meaning, which is very sad. But the truth is that's when people sell on emotion, and that's when you got to be ready to buy.
So, with crypto, like in particular, um, I was kind of wrong, sort of on the Ukraine thing. Like I said, I'm like, Russia ain't like invaded, and we can like, I don't want to get too hard into those politics, but do you think that the price? I believe the price would have done the same thing, no matter what, with or without Russia and Ukraine. Um, but do you believe the same thing? Like, do you think that the price of crypto specifically, and maybe even the stock market too, would be basically where it's at today for one reason or another if the Russia Ukraine thing didn't happen, or do you think we'd be going straight up if it didn't happen?
No, no. In general, the beautiful thing about following the charts is that they tell you things ahead of time, even before the news. So you can see things in the charts. And I mean, if we go to Bitcoin, right, and I'll show my chart here on
Yeah, pull up
Bitcoin. But
share screen
one of the
here.
things you can see is that, very clearly we had Bitcoin rallying off this lower trend line, which is a very exactly parallel trend line. And let me just zoom out for you guys so
Yeah,
we can see it. So you have this parallel. So this high connected to this high, which were the highs of 2021. It's 100% to the point, the penny parallel line to this low, which connected this low. So, like, again, it's amazing how the charts work where you don't necessarily know what news is going to be the reason the media says, oh, this is happening or that's happening. But when you hit a level, it's just like boom. And then look at this line up here, boom. And then
yeah.
again, this is all coming in within this downward motion, kind of to retest this low level. So I kind of agree with you that generally, if it's not Russia, Ukraine, it was going to be something else. It was going to be nothing. There would be fear because of the Fed. I mean, there's so many different reasons the markets can decide, oh, that's the reason. It just happens to be Russia invading Ukraine today.
Okay. Um, so Could you tell us a little bit about kind of what you trade crypto? I believe you trade options, oil. Like our community on November 5th of 2020, the day after the election, when the day Joe Biden announced was the winner, we put our house on oil, war stocks. Wish we went into more commodities, but have you been getting any of that oil? We've been oily boys, not island boys. We say we're not island boys, but we've been oily boys. Are you an
Yeah,
oily boy?
so believe it or not, and I've been a little on the wrong side here, but lately, actually, looks like it's coming back in. But I'm actually short oil as of now, and I want to show
Okay.
you guys why here. And what's interesting is this morning I was like, oh crap,
Yeah.
because I was honestly in the camp with a lot of other people that were saying that, yeah, maybe maybe Putin will take those little small areas of Ukraine that were
Yeah.
already under separatist rule. But I honestly didn't think he wanted the headache of invasion and then all the sanctions that accompany it. To me, it sounds like just a headache in general to
Yeah.
deal with, taking over a major city like Kyiv and all these other things. But the idea here is on oil, at least, I have so many resistance lines up here, right? So again, I'm a chartist, meaning that everything I do follows the charts. And look at this one, connect this high to this high to this high, and we go right through this area. And then if I zoom out, there's multiple other trend lines
Yeah.
that all converge in this area. So believe it or not, I'm actually short oil. I'm glad I haven't looked at it in the last hour or so, but I like to see this long tail. There's something called a topping tail, which is a reversal signal. And if we closed a little bit lower on oil around 94 today, we'd actually get that bearish reversal. Now, being long oil has been the best trade ever, right? So if you guys have been long oil, you guys are rocking it and crushing it.
Yes.
But for me, if you look at what Bitcoin topped out on, right? Bitcoin topped out when the futures ETF launched. There was just so much hype. Tops occur when these major things happen. So when I see Russia invading Ukraine and oil spiking, and if it can't hold that, it could be the
Yeah.
same situation where the hype now is gotten ahead of price, and you'll see the price come back in.
Yeah. I uh do you mind, can you turn off your screen share real
Yeah,
quick? Cuz
absolutely.
I want to pull up uh oil and kind of explain um why I understand, and I love that chart with all of those trend lines meeting at one place. Um and I understand that. And so okay. What time frame do I want here? All right, so I got oil on the daily with market cipher, and it on some time frames, like, yeah, like we're high in the green. I'm trying to find a time frame. Here we go. Here we go. On the higher time frames, like the 3-day, the 4-day, probably the weekly. This green wave is a representation of money flow. Like when it's going down, obviously money leaving. Same with like the momentum wave. We have our momentum waves like kind of clipping, but it's kind of fat, man. It's kind of hooking it. Like on a normal time, like boom, this would hook down, and then price would come down.
But
And
I'm
so,
not seeing your chart. Are you showing your chart?
oh, it's on the stream.
Okay, no worries, no worries, no worries.
All right.
You describe it perfectly, so I'll
Yeah. This thing just going down, the price goes down. Yeah, that's what I thought. Um, so yeah, man, like there was a couple other people. People have been telling me actually for the past few weeks. I've had people in our community like, oil needs a pullback. Oil needs a pullback. But bro, oil went to -$40 not too long ago. Like to
yeah.
me, we had a pullback, and everything else is already inflated, minimum 40%, 70%. And so to me, oil can be at $100 and then get inflated another 40%. But yeah, with
Well,
like the
let
height of
me
the
ask you a
conflict.
question though.
Yeah, go
What do
ahead.
you think about so my thesis for why oil could come back down on a macro basis is that you have inflation at a certain level, which you're right, commodities in general will go up. But if the Fed is really going to raise interest rates as aggressively as they say they are, then that's going to end up slowing the economy. And I do wonder if the demand destruction then hampers the inflationary rise in oil, right? So if all of a sudden we go into a recession and people are driving less because they're losing jobs and all these other things, does that then create
Right.
that downward momentum? And again, I don't know. I'm just all I do is try to look at the charts and figure out probabilities. But that's kind of my thought is I'm worried that the Fed is going to overreact and like raise rates a ton of times, and then the economy is going to go, holy cow, everyone's going to start slowing down their purchasing power and everything like that. But
Yeah, I hear you. But I feel like with the current people in power for the next 3 years at least, um, they're snipping so many pipelines and veins of energy. We bought over 200 million barrels of
yeah,
oil just from Russia every month under this administration. Um, and so, man, energy is like a main thing, and I don't know, with
it
the
is.
wrong people heading it. I just feel like if we're not making ourselves, it's the price going to keep going up. But I also feel like that the incursion could be, if Putin don't keep his foot on the gas, like if he ain't going as hard as everyone thinks, then yeah, maybe the price will come down. If Putin pulls out saying, "Yo, I just wanted to mess up their military, I'm retreating back a little bit," then the price could come down a little bit, I
Yeah.
suppose. Um, Now, gold obviously shot up over the night as well, and it's come back down actually pretty decent amount. It's retraced 2.72%. Um, Man, why do you think crypto kind of sold off and gold didn't? Isn't it supposed to kind of be the opposite?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the important thing to remember with crypto is it's still it's kind of like an adolescent, meaning that it behaves much more volatilely versus gold, which has been around for thousands of years as a store of safety, right? So with crypto, and anytime you have something like crypto where the drawdowns in bear markets are 80%, which is what we saw after 2013, after 2017, people are going to treat it as a risk asset, which means when they de-risk, you're going to see falls. Now with gold, it's kind of the opposite. Where do people run for safety? Well, gold. Gold has always been that store of safety, so money has rotated in there. I will say this though, that like Bitcoin's performance today. I mean, let me show my
Yeah,
chart again on
hold
this because
up.
it's super.
Let's see it,
Oh.
baby. Let's see it.
All right, so here's your bull case for crypto, and again, one of the reasons why I was happy to get filled on the little flush down in Bitcoin and some of these other cryptos is that if you look at the S&P, and assuming that we look at the NASDAQ or the S&P and we have two risk assets and those are selling off, notice how here's your low on Bitcoin, right? And this was in late January. Now, if I flip over to the S&P 500, the S&P 500, here was your low in late January, and the S&P 500 went lower. So you have a lower low on the S&P. Now, the bullish case for Bitcoin is that you actually have a higher low, right? So you have the low today is higher than the
Mm.
low from January. So that's kind of interesting to me as a trader, because now all of a sudden, is Bitcoin potentially being a little bit of showing itself as a
Mm.
little bit of a store of safety versus the equity markets, the stock market, right? So again, very cool to kind of see that, because I'm a long-term huge bull on Bitcoin. I may think it still has more downside in the next 6 months because
Yeah.
of a bear market, but long-term, I love the idea that it's going to become the digital gold. And today, for the first time, I felt kind of giddy seeing like, okay, it's outperforming the stock market. That's
Yeah.
what you want to see from crypto.
Yeah. So it kind of it's doing the same thing now, like it did with that Fed meeting a few weeks ago, where initially it dumped. You think scared old white men hitting the sell button real quick, but then kind of the reality sets in and it gets bought back up.
Yeah.
When people are like, "Hang on, what is this again? Like where this is crypto?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And it makes a lot of sense too. Like if you think about it, geopolitical craziness like we're seeing with Russian invading Ukraine is really a long-term positive for Bitcoin. Not only does it show that in times of geo instability that people want something that isn't controlled by a government, but also if you're a Ukrainian and you're trying to flee the country, are you going to be able to flee with like suitcases full of money? Gold is still really heavy. I mean, to carry lots of gold, that's really hard. But could you just have your little drive that has your Bitcoin on it, or go to a different country and access your crypto account, and then you have all your money there? So to me, it's kind of an interesting test case for how Bitcoin could work in times of these craziness, all the craziness going on.
So you kind of said because of the bear market earlier there. So
Yeah.
God, I can't believe I'm actually going to ask you this question. I hate this question. I talk about how it's pointless all the time, but are we in a bear market, Gareth Solloway?
I do believe we are. A lot of people fight me on that one. Again, crypto bear markets are obviously hard to know because we were down 50% in July and then we went to new all-time highs, less than 6 months later. But again, the difference now is that you actually have a Federal Reserve that is not printing endless amounts of cash. They're actually pulling back on it. And again, people say these cycles are elongating on Bitcoin, but really, have we really seen that yet? Fucking Windows 98. 2009. 2013, 4 years later, was a high. 2017, 4 years later, was a high. 2021, 4 years later, was a high. So I'm just, it's kind of the timing is right for a bear market, and you've seen a double top. You've seen the Fed pulling back. So I'm in the camp that we are in a bear market. I still think we have to see more downside because the leverage in the system has to be deleveraged. But I think it will be the greatest buying opportunity for an asset in your and my lifetime.
Wow. Okay. Greatest asset in our lifetime. Yeah. Now you were around back in the Enron MCI WorldCom internet boom. Is that when you were can you tell us kind of where you were during those days, and what's is how it's maybe similar today? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a million cryptos. And another thing that really bothers me is this institutions. When people say institutions, when they say, well, what about Robinhood? And, MicroStrategies is like the only, quote, institutions. Maybe one or two more that I know have actually got Bitcoin on their balance books. But when these people are talking about institutions, man, Robinhood doesn't, to my knowledge, have Bitcoin on the balance sheets. They're offering it as a product. And so, What do you kind of feel like the internet boom? Was it similar, or
It was scarily similar, right? And again, I always, before I get into this and showing you the similarities, like let's remember that Amazon was around when the dot-com bubble burst. It was $110 stock. It went to $6, right? So I mean, you're talking 90+% decline. But where is Amazon today? Amazon's at like $3,300, $3,400 a share. So I mean, $6 to $3,400. Imagine if Bitcoin goes down to even 10,000 and then does the multiple that from $6 to the equivalent of 3,300. I mean, that would be incredible. You'd see basically Bitcoin at $1 million. So before I get into that, I just like to say that because from dot-com type busts come amazing opportunities. Now, looking back, the same thing, right? So the dot-com, the internet was emerging. This was just when I started trading and investing. I stunk. I was horrible. I lost so much money back then. But to me, it was a lot of money. I had my little account and stuff like that, and I kept on screwing up. But basically, the internet, when it first came out, when you could get online, it was going to change the world. All these companies were emerging, and a lot of them were like run out of their parents' basement, and then no revenues, no earnings, no real use case. And then here we have cryptocurrency where, there's a lot of joke coins out there. I mean, what is there now? 15,000 total coins. A lot of them, it's like, well, what the heck is the use case here that's going to make this one unique from this one? And then the same thing, Bitcoin and blockchain, it's going to change the world. And the internet did change the world, as I believe that blockchain will change the world as well. It's just a matter of too many people rushing in, too much hype. You have to have the flush out, which is healthy. You flush out 90% of the coins, you leave the best ones there, and then those, just like Amazon, can flourish. So amazingly, believe it or not, another stat that's interesting is that when the dot-com bubble was at its height, all dot-com bubble stocks were about $2.9 trillion in value. And just in November, I think it was just over 3 trillion was all the cryptocurrencies combined. So, just these kind of weird things. And then, last thing oh man, you got me on some fun stuff.
Keep going.
So look at this chart so this is your Bitcoin chart here. And I'm just going to draw this pattern, right? So remember this kind of M-ish pattern here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Amazon's chart
Yes,
from the
yes. This is what I
.com.
wanted you to do. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to the weekly
Oh
because
my lord, it looks the same.
yeah. So here it is.
Oh,
So you have that
oh
same
my
sort of thing,
gosh.
right?
Oh no,
Right.
no.
So, and again, listen, does that doesn't guarantee anything? Everyone watching, obviously it doesn't guarantee anything, but it's kind of spooky, frankly. It's just like okay, and then here was $110, and then you look and see where it bottomed out,
Oh.
and you're all the way down at sub $10.
So
So
what? So
again,
okay, what 110 and that was what an 85% correction? Could you measure that? What did that end up being?
yeah, I mean, I'd have to run the numbers to be
Don't worry
honest,
about it. Don't
but
worry about
yeah,
it. Okay.
but basically $110 to $6,
Whew.
basically bottomed out right down here. But then again, then if you zoom out on the chart and we go to the monthly chart, let me do this here. Let me see if I
Holy shit! I'm
so
sorry, but we are pumping right now. We are long and strong, baby.
nice. So just to put this into perspective, look at this. This was the .com collapse, and look at
Wow.
Amazon. So again, people get so scared and like they get pissed at me when I'm like, well, we might be going into a .com era, but
Yeah.
like, look at the opportunity you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. There's a lot of like man, sometimes I wish I'm like, man, I wish it wasn't so easy to create all these new coins and everything, because if there was just like the top 10 coins, the price would have been so much higher. But
Yeah.
yeah, we got a long way to go. I think the metaverse thing is oversold big time, like virtual reality. What are your kind of thoughts maybe on the
Metaverse.
I guess we could say the metaverse, or like the big next application with crypto. Like to me, it's the fact you can send money across the world. I think there's some good
Yeah.
use cases with stable coins and stuff. What do you think maybe about the metaverse and
Yeah,
NFTs, or
so
what the next
I
technology?
agree. Like I think that's the key is to payments faster. Like when I wire money and it takes even hours to do and I got to go to my bank, or now you can do it online. But if I, just to be able to click a button and transfer funds immediately anywhere in the world, have
Yeah,
access to your funds anywhere in the world, I think that's the key. And then also for me, the biggest one and why I originally got invested and interested in crypto was Bitcoin. And then I just looked at what the Federal Reserve and our government was doing, right? And you have a Federal Reserve that just prints money out of thin air nonstop. The government just runs up debt. And it's like, well, they're diluting my dollars. I'm working hard for my money, and now it's going to be worth X amount less every single year.
yeah,
But if I store it in something, and obviously Bitcoin isn't that yet, but I do
right.
believe that it will eventually become that.
Okay. So, do you a while back, before like the second M with Bitcoin, you
Mhm.
you had it you thought it would go down to 20K, was like your projection. Which I was in the same boat. I still am kind of.
Yeah.
But we're at that important trend line right there. And so do you still feel, I find myself asking the same questions that I hate people asking me. But do you still think we can go to 20K, or we can go lower? I'm doing my best here, people. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. So I mean, I am in that camp, and a couple things have me in that camp. Number one, if the 4 year-ish cycle is true, and then we have 80% downside, that actually puts us closer to $10,000. I don't know if we'll get that low, but the 20,000 is this 2017 high. I know that never in the past have we ever gone back to a previous pivot high, so that would be a first. But just the cycle alone makes me worry about it. I also think that if you're really, I mean, how long can 15,000 cryptocurrencies or whatever number it is, how long can they all exist? How long, when do we get that .com flush out? And if this is it, then you have to think that, okay, well, Bitcoin is the Amazon of the crypto world, right?
Yeah.
And that again, do you have some sort of correction, all out panic? Like I'll start getting really interested in holding Bitcoin and buying like with both hands and feet when we see everyone's starting to freak out. Like, is Bitcoin going to survive? Is
Yeah.
it, oh my God, it's down to, 20,000 or sub 20,000. That's when I'm going to want to jump in. You buy, and by the way, Bitcoin just ripping here. I'm assuming Biden, I know Biden was going to make a speech at 1:30. I'm assuming he's saying something positive,
Yeah, I
but
wonder what he's saying. I don't know if he's saying something weakened, but crypto's just taking off right now. Luckily, I'm in a couple little longs here kicking butt.
yeah, nice, man.
So yeah,
But
um,
yeah, I mean, it's just for me, it's just needing. I just feel like you need that washout at this point where you got to
yeah,
get rid of the junk. And again, maybe there's one more up cycle before that happens, but inevitably you have to have it happen. And it's actually for the benefit of the crypto market and blockchain. Is like you need to have that washout because then the strongest is very Darwinian in that way. The strongest will
yeah.
survive.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. So what kind of I know you come from in the money stocks background with like standard assets and stuff, and it seems like you've been moving doing more and more in crypto. So what kind of like time frame trades have you been making with crypto, or do you think you'll be making with crypto?
Yeah. So I have a website in the verifiedinvestingcrypto.com, and really all I'm doing there is swing trading, and we've been able to swing trade really successfully. I launched it in November, and I think we've closed out 23 trades, and I think 21 of them have been long. And if you think about the crypto market, it's the topped in early November when we launched, but by buying support and selling resistance and not getting greedy, we've been able to generate great returns. So that's really all I'm looking to do here is if I still believe it's going lower, I don't want to be in these things for too long.
Yeah.
But there's great opportunities on the charts, and just for one instance, is you have Polkadot here, right? So in Polkadot, by the way, could even put in a bottoming tail today. This is a great move off the lows.
Do
Let
you
me
want to
show.
pull up?
Yeah,
You can pull up your screen
yeah.
again. It's all right.
There
We
we
can go
go.
back and forth. All right. So we're
Yeah.
looking at
So
Polkadot. Okay.
so
Man,
yeah. So
you like these
Polkadot.
altcoins, but you're playing good altcoins. So that's quite on one of your videos I was watching you talk about for your community, your like trade signal community, if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Um, that you look for opportunities where there's enough liquidity and everybody can get in. So that's
Right.
good, man. That
Yeah, and,
there's
and I
okay.
think what's important is, there's a lot of people like, oh, what do you think about this coin? But when you're entering a trade based off charts, and I'm a chartist, you can't afford to enter a thinly traded coin because one individual could have an outsized impact on the price
Yeah.
action. So, like, I don't want to get in a trade where I'm putting 50K in or 100K in, and then one Joe Schmo comes along with a big position and dumps it, and I'm like, oh crap, like I just got crushed because of one guy.
Yeah.
So in general, I want to be in things that are liquid where the charts matter and like one individual can't have a huge impact. So yeah, like the top, I usually stay in the top 20 of coins and obviously not the stable coins, but the individual ones that move. I haven't been messing with Ripple just because I just don't know when the
Dangerous.
SEC, yeah, when that's going to come out. So I just don't want to be caught in that if it's a bad
Yep.
report. But things like Polkadot, I mean, look at this trend line on Polkadot, just a beauty connecting this little pivot to this pivot and right to there. I mean, look at the low and then look at the move up there. And I think this low was like 13 or something dollars, $12,
Yeah.
and now it's back to almost 16. Incredible bounce there. But if we go to even some of these other ones like Solana was one I picked up in the overnight. I mean, just this is still holding this beautiful line. And now this candle is a bottoming tail. And for those of you that don't know what bottoming tails are, bottoming tails, the low has to be at the lowest point in history. So if you go back, well, recent history. So going back in recent history, it is. And the close of the candle has to be in the top 25% with a nice long tail. And that's a very bullish reversal signal for a chart. And again, whether it's crypto or a stock chart. So these type of things just give you, there are a lot of people that tell you that, technical analysis, it's going to give you 100%. No, all it is doing is giving you probabilities, and you want the probabilities in your favor. So even if you have 80% or 70%, you're still going to lose 2 or 3 times out of every 10, but at least you're winning most of the time. And that's all we can ask for in reading the charts.
Yeah. I'm shaving some profits right now off of Bitcoin and ETH.
Nice.
We
Beautiful.
and actually it looks like we still she could have a little bit more room. I got my chart up on the stream
Oh, okay.
now. But money the I'm on just the 20-minute small time frame right now, and the flow of cash has been coming in, is coming in. Um, but when we're in these sell-offs times, it's more in the red and a little bit in the green. When it's bull times, we're a
Mhm.
little bit in the red and more in the green, and so we're just about to get into the green. Um, Looks like we kind of
Just one little side note, notice how Bitcoin just pulled back off 36,800. And then if you look at the technicals, look at this right here. It's like right. So this was just the beginning of the fall. So
yep.
there were a lot of people that were buying in this consolidation. And now what the tendency is for psychology of an investor is that when you get back to break even after you've been punished, you're like, okay, I'm break even on the trade. I'm going to sell and just be like flat. And I'm happy with that because I was being crushed in the overnight down here. And that's the beauty of it, is like to understand where those sellers will come out of the woodwork. Now, it's not to say it's not going to consolidate and then break up. It
Right.
very well could, but just understanding how charts work is such a cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. And like the probability right now, like it with the trend is that it's at the time where this is the top. Like
Yeah.
when it was 38.9 and 39K the other day, man, we saw that from a mile away. We saw it from a mile away, just from these trend lines. It is pretty cool how our just like the little human psychology, we
It
put it on
is.
a chart with crayons and like it ends up making this stuff. It is pretty cool. Um uh is there anything else we should go over? Is there any other assets? Are you big into the FANG? I call it the T FANG because I throw Tesla in there. Is there, what do you think? Maybe real estate, like for Gareth Solloway. If someone asked Gareth Solloway, what are the assets for the next 6 to 12 months that maybe I should have an eye on or
So
something?
I'm a believer that I think gold is going to be one of the best performers until year end at least.
Okay. You
One of
think
the
we can get
reasons
over that 2,000? Do you think we can break that
I do.
2,000?
I do. Now, short term, you just had this incredible run on gold. So it's pulling back today, just like we're seeing oil pulling back, right? So fear is maybe subsiding a little bit from that panic. But again, with such a big move up in gold so far, you'd expect some sort of pullback. But the bigger key here on gold is number one, we broke out of this trend, right? So you've broken out. So even a retrace to this kind of like 1840 area would be actually a good buying opportunity because it'd be a retrace to the support line now. And then I think the next wave takes us to that 2075 level. But what I love showing people, and again, this is just the coolest of charts, is that if you look at the chart on gold since 2018, you basically had a 2-year move up from 1100 to 2075. And then you had 2 years of consolidation almost, right? From 2020 to 2022. So remember this pattern: 2 years up, 2 years sideways. And then
Yeah.
the fun, and again, this is just history repeating, and it doesn't necessarily repeat, but it usually rhymes. Go to your long-term chart of gold. Let's go back to the 1970s, when inflation was closely similar to the way it is. And look, from 73 to 75, you had an up move, which was the same as we had 2018 to 2020. Then you had the same consolidation for 2 years. And then look at what gold did. I mean, just an
Yeah.
incredible run to the upside. So again, do we know if it's going to perfectly repeat? Not really, but we do have the same pattern intact, and we also have the same inflation type numbers that you had in the mid to late 70s repeating as well.
Yeah, I do believe, hopefully, because I have a good little allocation into metals,
Nice.
gold and stuff like that. And I believe a few years ago, I read a stat, that the data was from a few years ago, but still pretty relevant, that 70% of the gold trades are owned by the top three banks, and like they have too much of it. And I mean, when was it, last year when we hit that 2,000, the footage in Asia of everyone in Asia lined out the door waiting to buy gold. Couldn't buy
Yeah.
gold, yet the price was stuck at 2,000. Yet you could not buy it. It's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
So hopefully that veil gets lifted, and I don't know, what price do you think gold should really be at right now? Not that it matters. you know,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I do think that I do think that crypto, when crypto was hot last year, took a lot of money away from gold. Now people are kind of saying, oh, wait a minute, crypto is very risky, right? I mean, there were a lot of amateur investors that were just like, oh, it's going to keep going up. And we know that's just not the way it works. So I think it did draw a lot of money away from gold. Probably some of that money's coming back. But if you look at the money printing that's gone on in the government and how much debt we have, you have to think gold's at least valued at 25 to 3,000 an ounce, for me at least.
sure.
And if it continues, and if we see like the Fed eventually, when the economy goes into recession, printing again, then I gotta believe it's going to go higher. And I wouldn't be shocked to see 5,000 an ounce on gold at some point in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah.
I just closed my trades. We made a little 20 plus. We made like 67 grand. Not bad for a quick, a
Dude,
little few hour trade. You know what I'm saying?
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Dude. Someone's got to do it around here. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
And yeah, it's hard out there. What kind of maybe like methods do you what's kind of like the most important things for like trading in these times, you think? Or I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of some good questions to ask you
No,
here.
that's an amazingly good question, because we're in unprecedented. I mean, well, volatility maybe we haven't seen since 2008, 2009. And investors, I mean, they now say that a majority of investors from the last couple of years are actually underwater, because so many of them bought north of 50 and 60,000.
Yeah.
And I think it's a trying time for those people. You're down 40, 30% on your money on Bitcoin. And I think it's important to remember that as an investor, you have to think long term in terms of allocations, right? It's always going to lure you to try to make $1 million overnight on 5,000 or $10,000. But what you're doing is you're taking risks. And I can tell you from my history, when I started trading, I literally had to work side jobs because I had my $10,000 account, and I would keep on doing stupid things, and I'd lose a lot of my money, and I have to replenish it, lose more.
Jeez.
And I learned the hard way. And the best thing in the world is to think that, allocate yourself with some in Bitcoin, but then some in gold. And if you think about it, gold would have protected your portfolio right now, even if you had a large chunk in Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's down, but gold's held steady and gone higher,
Yeah.
and it kind of, Kate takes that edge off. So go small on position size in this period. There's no need. You don't want to try to turn money into a zillion overnight,
Yep.
and then just spread it out a little bit. Nothing wrong with spreading it out. Do the marathon, not the sprint, right? We don't want to be the sprinter who tries to swing for a home run and strikes out. If we strike out in this game, we lose a lot of money. We just want to be a singles and doubles hitter and get to the Hall of Fame that way.
Man, I have vastly reduced the amount that I have been trading over the past year. And I found that like there was a time last year, it was like 3 or 4 times in a row where whenever I was trying to break my record, the world record, by the way, every time I went for it, the stuff hit the fan, and
Yeah.
one of those ended up turning into the world record loss. My biggest loss. And when I would just take my profits and be happy, after 3 or 4 trades, I would be at that big number, like magically. Somehow I'd be trading with like a tenth of the size, a small, tiny little trade, but 3 of them equal to the huge one. And so, yeah, we try to say here, and I stole this from a friend of mine: little wins, little losses, and big wins.
Yes.
Like the big fish will come. You'll get that big boom fish, but just be happy with the little fish. You know what I mean? And it's the long game. Not
It,
the.
it so much is. And investors, again, especially in these more volatile times, you think about how hard it was to earn that money and then to invest it and see it go away so quick. But again, you'll make a lot more. And I say this to everyone, is like, if I could go back and undo some of the losses, I would have so much more money today if I had just done it slow and steady versus swinging for the fences. It is absolutely true.
Yeah, and I think the times have changed. Like man, people are. Do you use like Twitter? Are you on Twitter at all, or any other social
Yeah.
medias, or not really?
Yeah, Twitter's the main one I do, honestly. That's really my main spot. And I do tweet out a lot of interesting market perspectives, stocks and crypto, and then macro views as well. But yeah, I think I do my best to kind of just spread the knowledge out there. And that's the other thing I would recommend is, like, the market, whether it's crypto or stocks, will make you pay for education like it did me.
Yeah.
It would have been so much cheaper for me to actually go and get some great courses and actually learn, and I would have saved a lot of money in the long run. So don't underestimate learning. A lot of people will say, oh, I don't want to spend $500 on this course and learn how to read charts, but then they'll lose $5,000 trying to do stupid things and following people pumping on Twitter or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So think about it smartly, folks. It's
Yeah, I like, and we're gonna wrap it up here. You've gone over the allotted time that you have blessed us with. But yeah, I want to say one last thing that I totally agree with you on. Like, right now, like, we're not in the white picket fence days where, you have a husband and wife and a couple kids. You can afford a hobby. The wife is a homemaker, and the dad goes, you can work for the same company for 30 years and retire with $1 million in smooth sail into retirement. It's not like that anymore. Like, at least for me, you had to save up a little bit of money and then take a swing with it, is what I say. And save a little money and take a swing with it. But as far as like people getting into trading and wanting to do that income, I say you have to earn a second income to fund your trading, because you don't want to be taking that food off your family's tables, because the food going to be taken off the family table most likely.
Yeah, yeah. If you're new, and again, it's there's a lot, especially with the social media. There's a lot of stuff that new people can get caught up in. Whether it's just bad advice or it's this or that, and you definitely want to get educated. Essentially, make your own decisions, get all the facts, get different viewpoints, and then decide for yourself what's best. And like you said, only put money at risk that you can afford to lose. Don't risk money you need for housing or food for your family.
So I'm trying to pull up your website. It's intothemoneystocks.com,
In
right?
the money. In the
Damn it.
money.
Okay, in the money stocks. I knew something was wrong. Okay, into the money stocks. That was so stupid. Okay.
And you can also, or if you want to go to verifiedinvestingcrypto.com, that one's fine too. And I can bring that up on my
Oh,
screen.
yeah. Okay. So, can you share with us, show us your websites, social medias, and I don't have people on my channel that often, Gareth the God Solloway. G. But I believe in you, and to be honest,
Thank
man,
you.
I've been wanting to sign up with one of your options signals, but my problem is, man, is really this is my sleep time. Normally, I'm not awake during
Yeah.
standard hours, but I trades personally myself, but go on it, go on ahead. This
Okay.
is
I'll keep it real short too, because I'm definitely not here to pump my stuff at all.
right.
But verified investing crypto, basically what I do is when I take a crypto trade, I post it up my exact entry. When I exit, I post it up my
Thank
exact entry. And basically, I have a track record, very very transparent. Showing, like, what did I buy? Did I buy it? Did I short it? The entry date, the entry price. And you
Wow.
can see I'm not swinging for home runs here. I mean, 13%, 10, 8, and even a small
24.
loss
Yeah, those
there.
aren't home runs. Those ain't
Yeah,
home
these are
runs.
just singles. But these,
Oh
in
my
a bear
God.
market, in a market like this is what you can generate. And it's just following. All I do is chart analysis. I do a video every day where people can, I basically teach them in the video about technicals and what to look for. Why am I doing this trade? And so that's that website. And then In the Money Stocks is the one for stocks here. Speaking of which, wow, that looks messed up. We got hit with like a DDoS attack today, probably from Russia. But
Yeah.
but yeah, anyways, this is all looking weird to me. So I'll have to get
It
tech
doesn't
on this.
always.
But
So this just happened today too, because I've been going on your websites, and that's never happened. It's probably the same thing on our website too. But
yeah,
I love watching your videos, and I like watching you. And here's your Twitter. Boom. Okay,
Twitter.
you're verified too. You got verified too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, you can see again, talking about the Nasdaq and then Tesla and stuff, but then also crypto talking about crypto prices and everything. So I cover it all, and yeah, I mean, bottom line is Twitter's free. So if a lot of people that are watching are like, I don't really want to pay for a service, just follow me on Twitter. I'm fine with it. I'm not here to make extra money, really. I just want to give people information and stuff like that. So that's there for people. And listen, honestly, it's so nice of you to offer to have me on and invite me on here today. It's been amazing. I love chatting with you, and you're honestly too kind to me. Thank you.
I appreciate it, and thank you for coming on. And yeah, I'm out of my trade, and we live to fight another day.
Amen.
This has been CryptoFace and Gareth the God G Solloway, and thanks for coming on. And I would hope that you'd like to come on again.
100%. I would love it.
All right, bro. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream, and we'll end the call, man. Thanks, right. And we appreciate it, bro.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, bro. God bless you.
You too.
All right. Well, that wasn't too bad, huh? We did all right. He was a real easy guest to like interview. The last half of that, I'm trying to put some questions together, ask him something that you guys would want to hear, and I pretty much did a terrible job, but wow, he really makes it easy. I don't care if I shouldn't have exited. Listen, I am tired, and I want to go to bed. And so listen, I took my money. You know what I'm saying? I took my money. That's just what we were talking about. It's not about getting at the exact bottom and getting out the exact top and nailing it. It don't matter. I don't care. I don't care. We're 60 grand richer. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Hope y'all have a nice day. Thank you.